Hari Om to everyone else. Today, our today's topic of discussion will be karma and rebirth. The doctrine of karma and rebirth forms an important part of the Upanishadic teachings and has exerted the greatest practical influence upon Vedic society up to the present time. It is one of the strong pillars on which the Vedic philosophy rests. The doctrine was formulated in response to the question as to what becomes of a man after death. It also explained for the Hindus or Sanatani the inequality between man and man at the time of birth and gave them reasons to believe enough. Whenever you will join, you should mute your, it disturbs. Okay. So it also explained for the Sanatanis the inequality between man to man at the time of birth and gave them reasons to believe in a moral foundation of the universe in which virtue is in the long run rewarded and iniquity punished. The doctrine of karma and rebirth is certainly an original contribution of Vedic philosophy to the philosophical thought of the world. It must be clearly understood that this cannot be applied to the soul or Atma, because Atma is in its true nature beyond birth and death and unaffected by time, space, and the law of causation. It has reference only to the jiva or embodied soul. Jiva means embodied soul. It belongs to what is called the inferior knowledge or aparavidya. Inferior knowledge or aparavidya, which one seeks to explain, the relative world and not to the superior knowledge or paravidya, which is the science of Atma or Atman or the soul, science of soul. Karma, literally meaning action, denotes both action in general and the fruit producing subtle impressions which remain with the doer even after an action is outwardly accomplished. It is in the latter sense that an action plays an important part in molding a man's future, not only here on earth, but after death as well. The law of karma is the application of the law of cause and effect in the moral world. No action is exhausted without producing its effect both on the body and on the mind. Karya Karan Sambandha Yukta. Every effect has cause, every cause has its effect. So the thing is, at the same time of death, the actions of a man remain in seed form, and the seeds develop when he assumes a new body, either on the earth or on any other plane of existence or loka. Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Swahaloka, Brahmaloka, Narakaloka, Patalaloka, Sutalaloka, Vitalaloka, Talatalaloka, any plane of existence. Every man is born in the world fashioned by himself. Satapat Brahman says that Satapat Brahman 7.2.2.27. 7.2.2.27. The good and the evil are laid down on the scales in the yonder world, and whichever of the two sinks down, that will he follow, whether it be the good or the evil. He who does good will be born as good. He who does evil will be born as evil. He becomes holy by holy deeds, evil by evil deeds. Therefore, in truth it is said, man is altogether and throughout composed of desire or kama. In proportion to his desire, so his discretion or kratu, in proportion to his discretion, so he performs acts, karma. In proportion to his acts, so does it result to him. So again I'm repeating, therefore in truth it is said, man is altogether and throughout composed of desire or kamana, kama. In proportion to his desire, so is his discretion, kratu. In proportion to his desire, so is his discretion. In proportion to his discretion, so he performs acts. And jaisa karma, aisa hi phala. In proportion to his acts, so does it result to him. Hinduism teaches that the good and evil tendencies of this life And a man's happiness and suffering are the inevitable consequences of the actions of his previous life, and the actions performed in this life determine those of the next. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad 4.4.2 to 6, 2 to 6 mantra number, 4.4, then 2 to 6 mantra. This conviction has taught the Hindus to regard the pain of this life as self-inflicted and to accept it with a calmness and resignation. It is also an incentive to right conduct, because if a man sins no more in his life, he will be spared. He will be spared grievous suffering in a future existence. Thus, a man is free to accelerate or hinder his evolution. Neither his growth nor his action is determined by an outside factor. Please remember that. We always ready to blame. We are always ready to blame that because of him or because of her, my life is like that. Because of that, we are always ready to blame others. But law of karma says completely the opposite thing. Neither his growth nor his action is determined by an outside factor. Through the law of karma, the Vedic seers tried to explain the moral foundation of the universe, according to which the righteous are rewarded and the wicked are punished in this life or hereafter, not by the whim of God, but by their own action. God is not partial, not at all. Yes, we know, karturagyaya prapyate phalam. But God is ever compassionate. He or she, whatever it may be, just distributes what is my prapya. The theory of rebirth is a necessary counterpart of the law of karma and the immortality of the soul. The soul, being eternal, cannot be annihilated with the death of the body. The idea of eternal reward or eternal punishment after death did not appeal to the minds of the gentle Hindus. बाकी सारे धर्म में देखो, थोड़ा सा गलती कुछ हुआ तो पूरा जिंदगी भर क्या लिखा है, आग की जूता पहनना पड़ेगा, दोजक, in Jahannam or in hell. In other religious faith, it is told, I have studied, that if you commit any mistake over here in this earth, you will be eternally punished. You will be cooked. जैसे दूध पाक होता है ना, गुजराती लोग बनाते हैं दूध पाक. So in the hot oil, maybe mustard oil or refined oil और मूंगफली का तेल जो होता है ना, कढ़ाई में लेकर छोड़ देते हैं, पकाते हैं, सेंसलेस हो जाते हैं, उठाते हैं, क्योंकि देयर इज नो डेथ. मरा हुआ आदमी को पनिशमेंट देके क्या फायदा? देयर इज नो नथिंग एल्स टू पनिश अ डेड बॉडी. सो द soul will be senseless, then water will be sprinkled, then again pour, and it is written. But Vedic seers or Hindus were too gentle, so positive minded. Here, punishment is not eternal. It is disproportionate to the law of cause and effect to imagine that the actions of a short span of life liable to error should bear fruit that will last for eternity. The idea that the erring soul should not be given another chance to rectify its mistake seemed both unjust and unmerciful to the seers of the Vedas. Finish. The Vedic mystics often speak of the four courses that men may follow after death. These are determined, as we have seen, therefore, by one's actions and thoughts while on earth. First, the highly developed soul who lead an extremely righteous life, meditate with wholehearted devotion on Brahman, and practice the various spiritual disciplines, but who do not succeed in attaining complete self-knowledge before death, repair to Brahmaloka or the other, or the plane of Brahmaji. You can say Brahmaloka means the plane of Brahmaji, roughly corresponding to the heaven of the Christians, roughly. And from there, in due course, attain liberation or moksha. Some, however, return to earth for rebirth. This journey lies through a path known as the Devayana, or way of the gods, and the second is the ritualists and philanthropists who cherish a desire for the fruit of their actions, go after death to Chandraloka, or the lunar sphere. This journey lies through a path known as the Pitrayana, or way of the fathers, ancestors. After enjoying immense happiness, there as the reward for their meritorious action, they come back to earth since they still cherish desires for worldly happiness. And third one is those who perform actions forbidden by religion and ethics assume after death subhuman bodies and dwell in what is generally known as hell. निषिद्ध कर्म करने से नरक वास होता है. After experiencing their evil actions, they are reborn on the earth as human beings. The fourth factor is there, those persons who perform extremely vile actions spend many births as such, insignificant creatures as mosquitoes and fleas. They also in the long run return to human bodies on earth. From the Vedantic standpoint, dying may be compared to falling asleep. And the after-death experiences to dreams. The actions and thoughts of the waking state determine the nature of dreams. Likewise, the soul reaps after death the results of the actions and thoughts which it performed and cherished during its life on earth. These experiences may be described according to their nature as those of heaven or of hell. And when the soul awakens, or awakes after this sleep, it finds itself reborn on earth as a human being. It again takes up the thread of life and continues to progress toward this goal. Thus, there is no real break in the upward journey of the soul, though at times it may take a detour, you can say. The after-death experience, though of the nature of dreams, are real and vivid as long as they last. Like ordinary dreams, they may seem to cover ages. It is also admitted that some souls, after death, may be reborn directly as human beings without going through the experiences of heaven or hell. These, four courses obviously do not apply to the fortunate soul who attains the knowledge of Brahman or self-realization in this very body before or at the time of death. For him, no going or coming can be imagined. He is absorbed in Brahman. The sojourn of the soul in a body superior or inferior to a man's is temporary, being of the nature of a reward or punishment. The action performed by creatures through these bodies do not produce any results like those performed in a human body. When the soul again assumes a human body, it takes up the thread of spiritual evolution which was suspended at the time of death. As the attainment of perfection is not possible in one life, the soul assumes many bodies to attain it. according to the Hindus or Vedic philosophy, all souls will ultimately attain perfection. All of us are going to attain perfection. From one-celled amoeba to dinosaur. The Hindu philosophers divide a man's karma into three portions: Sanchita karma, Agami karma, and Prarabdha karma. Forget about Kriyaman karma, it is inside. The Sanchita karma is the vast store of accumulated works done in the past, the fruit of which have not yet been reaped. The Agami karma is the action that will be performed by the individual in the future. The Prarabdha karma is the action which has begun to fructify, the fruit of which is being reaped in this very life. The Prarabdha is a part of the Sanchita karma, since this also is action done in the past. But the difference between the two is that whereas the Sanchita karma is not yet operative, the Prarabdha has already begun to yield fruit. The fruit of all karmas must be reaped by the individual himself. The character and circumstances of his life being determined by his prarabdha karma. The prarabdha cannot be avoided in any way, whoever else it is. That is why we have seen Ramana Maharshi is having cancer. Our Pujya Gurudev had several heart attacks and so many ailments. Bhagavan Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, Ma Sarda Devi. Prarabdha we have to enjoy or suffer. But always remember, prarabdha from the standpoint of the world, not from the standpoint of the jnani or the realized soul. For them, there is no prarabdha. For us, it seems that it is prarabdha. So the prarabdha cannot be avoided in any way. The attainment of self-knowledge or self-realization may enable one to, abstain from future fruit-bearing action or agami karma, or to avoid the consequences of the accumulated action that has not yet begun to operate, or sanchita karma. But the prarabdha which has begun to bear fruit must be reaped. The man endowed with self-knowledge may not actually suffer from the result. However, because he is detached from the body and the sense of organs.